It's me again. So I just had some cake. I think I mentioned in the previous video that I bought a cake. It was half the price. It was half the price on my birthday, so it was very fun. And it was nice. It's chocolate with coconut, and I think that I really like coconut, but the- I mean, like, there's some chocolates, like industrialized chocolates, they're like, I don't usually like it. I don't know if I think it's dry, but it's not the fact that it's a fruit, because when you have bananas, like, I love those, they're great. But yeah, so it was, but the cake was great, by the way, the cake was great. It's just that when I saw that was, like, flavor that was, on sale, I was like, oh, will I like this? There's also one that was coconut and pineapple, which really nice, but that one I don't think people enjoy the most. My mom said that she wouldn't really try that one, so let's go with the this chocolate and coconut one. But yeah, so it was nice. It's one of those things that, like, yes, you can buy sometimes food for cheaper, but like the cheaper food is not going to taste as good. Like, it's not going to be as great. I mean, so for my case, I was very lucky. I was able to buy something a little more, high end, for the average price. But yeah, but that is an interesting thing, because it highlights the differences between me 28 versus me 18. Because when I was 18, the quantity mattered most to me than matter more than necessarily taste. Because also, like, when I was 18, when I was a kid, like, I ate anything and everything tasted great. I think that the older I got, like, the more, I don't know, advanced my palate grew, so I started appreciating some things in a way that I didn't really do that anymore. And I do find that there's a correlation between, because like, you get older, and then you can't digest as well, so you have to eat less. So I'm seeing that the things I'm going through right now, like, they are still serving less food, or if they're serving more food, they're going to be a little more expensive, which means that I have to plan in a way that I didn't necessarily when I was younger. But I think that it's just like different phases of your life. There's not necessarily one that's better than the other. And an interesting thing for me to say is that I am happier today at 28 than I was when I was 18. And honestly, I don't know if I have done everything differently. Because also there's the fact that like, if I were to go back right now, I'll have hindsight, so I know what would have worked, what wouldn't, and that would definitely impact my decisions. But yeah, so I'm kind of like, I'm happy. I think this might be the first time where I look back, like a decade ago, and I'm like, what? I think I'm better. Things are better right now. Because I mean, it's not necessarily. I'm talking specifically about myself and my head, because in the world, I don't know how I can say that things have improved, or at least like improved consistently, or sometimes it feels like you take like one step forward and then move like 10 steps back. So it's not great. But just me with myself, it's been very clear to me that I'm I'm happy that I'm here today, and I'm happier like right now. Not only am I happier at this point today than I was a decade ago, but I'm happy to be here at 28, because I think that was the whole do-over mindset that I had. That would, maybe like when I was 25, I would have wanted to be for the thing, and to have done things differently. 15 was when I started high school, so there was that. Our high school here is only like 3 less years, so it would be the equivalent to like 10th grade. And it's interesting because I look, yeah, I'm pretty sure that 25, I'm trying to remember, where was I at 25? 25 was 20, I turned 25 at the end of 2022. So it was the year of 2023. Yeah, that year was messy for me. That year I was not doing well. So there's that. But it was the beginning of a journey. I think that I had to separate my life by like different chapters. At the end of 2022, like, it was like it was the end of an era for me, and it was an end to a good era. And what happened afterwards, like, was not as good. You could argue, like, I'm trying to respect every stage that I've been through, every phase that I had, but I was not doing well mentally speaking. Like, my mental health was in gutter, so it was not yeah, so like, everything was going really terribly, and everything, I wasn't doing well. I was doing very bad, sad, actually. So there's that. But yeah, but the point is that right now, I'm 28, which which means a decade ago I turned 18, and I had pretty much like my entire life ahead of me. That's what it felt like. And then right now I feel the same way. I have a totally, I feel like right now things are falling into place for me in a way that they haven't, like in the past decade, the decade before that. So it feels good that like now, my life's ahead of me, and it's okay that I'm 28 and not 18. It's okay that other people, they feel the same way that I do right now, and they are 18, which means they have like a decade more than me to kind of like get their things done. But yeah, but I'm just very positive feelings, and honestly I think this is the first time that I can for sure say that like I'm happy that my birthday is coming, because as I mentioned before, this was kind of like a journey of many years of me coming to accept things, and right now, so for a few years from now, like I think I started to enjoy my birthday more. But I think this is the first year where there are like no negative feelings whatsoever attached to my birthday. I'm just happy, I'm just happy that I'm here. I'm happy, about everything I've been able to accomplish so far. I'm happy about what I will accomplish in the future, about my possibilities, the prospects. I'm happy that I have, the chance, I have like opportunities that other people don't have. So I'm happy that, like I am in tune and that everything is going okay, even if like things outside are not going okay, I'm still okay, and that sometimes is as much as you can hope from life, and sometimes that is all you need. You just need your head to be in the right place for you to keep going, because it doesn't really do anything for you if like everything else is going okay and your head is not, if you're unstable and you have like bad tendencies and bad things happening. So yeah, that is an interesting question. Would I rather the world be great but my mental health be terrible, or the other way around? And honestly, I'm gonna say the selfish thing. I think actually no. Maybe I think that I would say that I would sacrifice my mental health not to help anybody else, but rather because like I would be more at peace, if that was the case, like that things were working well. So yeah, not really the altruist, but the outcome would still be the same. But yeah, but as of right now, what I have is my head is doing well, and the world is, it needs work. That's the way to put it. And yeah, so like that is not like it's actually up to me, but it is an interesting dichotomy, because it is better for me to be mentally okay, and because like it's more sustainable for me, because like with my head the way that it is right now, I am very much, I can live another 20 years, while like that might not have been the case if my head was bad. Even if the world was great, I still would be vulnerable, kind of like a hostage to my own brain, and I wouldn't really do anything positive with it. So yeah, my head is doing fine, and I'm kind of like skeptical that it is always going to be fine, because historically, as I mentioned, like bad moments, they always come, and I have to face them again. So maybe that might be the case, but like that is not the case today. Today I'm doing okay. I'm doing more than okay. I'm feeling great, but I'm not feeling great as I feel like when I'm manic, because there's also always like a concern, like am I getting manic? But right now it doesn't seem to be the case. I know this because like I'm eating well, but I'm not eating like as excessively as I historically have. For example, May, I had a lot of moments where I was just eating desperately because I was just hungry. I have issues with compulsion, and they were very clearly exemplified there. And I'm sleeping well, because usually when I'm manic or getting manic, I don't really need sleep, so there's that. So I'm sleeping, I'm not eating excessively, I'm having lots of examples of me having self-control. For example, because with the food I was eating, I couldn't really exaggerate it. I mean, you could argue that I have, but I didn't exaggerate in like the manic way, and more in a I have issues with self-control type of way. But honestly, like, because today I have so many fun things to eat. I have, I went to this, cookie place, and I got all the different types of cookies and chocolates, and I'm eating them slowly, which isn't new for me, because sometimes I'll just eat them all in one go. But no, I had them stored, they are in the outside fridge, and I get a little, just some of them. It is 4 different packages, almost at a time. And also the other day I got a bunch of those Kinder chocolate, the bars, plus some Milka chocolate bars. And yeah, so like basically I have some other cookies and other stuff that I've been getting, so maybe So I'm kind of like, I'm supplied. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm supplied for, you know, the stuff that I want. But even like having it, like I'm not eating that excessively. It's just that when we went to the place we went, I think I already explained it. I'm not gonna explain it again. The place where you can buy things in bulk, so like things are cheaper. Usually the place that people who sell things, like they go to, you go like downtown, you have like all the shops selling like a bunch of different things. Like that is the place to get it. So I went there and they had a you know, snack place, and I mean you could call it a restaurant. But yeah, so I wanted, you know, banoffee, and they didn't have it, you know, there. So I got, you know, a chicken pie, you know, like a slice, and it was delicious. So like I don't regret buying it, but like did I have to buy it because I already had a little something here at home. But I bought it, and then we had lunch, and at lunch I ended up splurging a little bit. But it is my birthday, you know. I'm filled with birthday celebrations. Like they are all going to make me really fat because I had a celebration yesterday, and then today, and then, you know, Tuesday, and then on Sunday, and then next Wednesday I'm going to have, but like that one's not for my birthday, it's for my summer project. So you know, like we are going to go eat. But I basically I've already decided, I've already even told my parents, so like they can help me keep my resolve. I'm going to, it's kind of like just close my mouth. 27th forward, I don't care. Christmas is coming, I do not care. I'm going to go back to eating at a healthy level. I mean, it's not that I'm not, I don't count calories, so I have no idea like how much I'm going overboard. I usually compare to like just my stage to other points in time, other points in my life where I've eaten more or less. So there's that. But yeah, so that is, you know, my project for after, you know, next Friday, next Wednesday. And honestly, even between tomorrow I'm not gonna eat a lot, and you know, and then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and Sunday I'm going to eat basically nothing for most of the day, so I can have enough room in my stomach to really, you know, be able to eat everything at the all I can eat buffet. And really happy. So like birthday celebrations and the year celebrations, and it's all fun and games until it isn't. But the point I'm trying to make is that things could be worse, you know, because I have issues with compulsion, and I'm having plenty of opportunities these past few days and, you know, the next few days to just eat excessively, and definitely eating more than I would have eaten normally, but it hasn't really crossed a line yet. I mean, it has crossed a line, but like there's a threshold, you know, and it hasn't crossed this threshold, you know. I'm still within reasonable limits. But yeah, moving on from that. So 28, and maybe I think that when I was younger, I think I saw those videos and I made some of those videos, like 17 things I learned when I was 17, you know, 18 I learned from 18. 28 things I learned, like that seems not excessive, but I'm just like, what? Because ultimately, like, you know, like I could have made this, let's say I made this video a year ago with 27 things I learned in 27 years. So like basically all those things, plus, you know, something else that I learned today. So I rather, you know, say what I've learned this year, you know, like, and everything else, because I'm already making like all these videos. I've been doing this for many years now. It's going to be a decade because I think that I started, actually no, because I started was at the end of 2014. So, you know, like last year was, but then I was kind of like trying to do kind of like a booktube thing, so I was mostly focused on books. It was at the end of 20, it was like end of 20, yeah, it was like December 2015 to January 2016 when I started. Yeah, I think that was it. So it's going to be like almost a decade. Not that recording period in general, but like this, you know, journal entries. Yeah, like that's a decade of me talking. So, you know, if you were to look back, you see everything that I've learned. But you know, I think that I don't know if I can necessarily like number the things that, you know, happened this year, because it's mostly kind of like the combination of like a long-term effort. So as I mentioned, I'm finally at this place mentally where I'm happy to be alive, because even when I was not, even when I wasn't kind of like, even when I wasn't depressed or manic, I struggled with, you know, like the future. The way that we would do it is that I would kind of like take one day at a time, because basically that's like all that I could do, because I was basically uh, I don't know, like it was nothing else for me. So even when I was like normal, quote unquote, it wasn't really. I didn't have like much going on. I didn't have like desire to like. So it was mostly one of those things like, yeah, I don't want to necessarily die, so I'm gonna live this day, you know, and then next day I'll be like, I'm live this day, and it was kind of like this very interruptible thing because I wasn't really. There was like no consistency to like my efforts because I wasn't. There's also like nothing like long term because I wasn't really thinking in terms of the future, so I wasn't really preparing and I wasn't doing things to get me naturally. Like for example, like writing. Writing is a good example because it basically involves a very contained effort to get somewhere. And it took me like 8 years for me to write. It took me 1 year to write my first novel, and it took me like 8 to write the second one. Second one is like twice the size, but like you could argue that that is like what 2 years, and it took me 8. Because say like 4, because maybe it could be exponential, whatever. But the point I'm trying to make is that I did have moments where I was doing things, but I was just really kind of like done with life. So I didn't really do like for example college. That was a good example because I was basically I was going to classes until I had an episode or episodes, and then I wasn't finishing classes because I wasn't there, that I was no condition to go, or because I just couldn't sometimes think properly, which is something that happens when you're depressed, and it's something that like I think it also happens when you're not depressed. I'm just saying this because for the longest time, like this felt like such a weakness that I had, that my brain wasn't fully functional all the time. And what I've been able to kind of like realize is that it's not just because I think at first I was like, okay, but it's only when I'm depressed, so it's okay because it's contained to like that period of time. But what I've been able to kind of like realize, not realize, but like accept, because I already realized it, is that it is it goes harder than that because sometimes it's also like because I'm getting older, like your reasoning is not getting any better. So like you acquire knowledge, but like and you can kind of like sharpen your senses, your skills and all that, but it is inevitable to kind of like accept that I'm kind of like going downhill. So maybe something that like 5 years ago I could do with like some dexterity, I'm not being able to kind of like do that so much anymore. I think that like high school is a good example because I took the national high school exams that so I can change my major for a different. I'm gonna change my major, start fresh, something that I haven't really done before. And it is interesting because basically, what was I gonna say? I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so like there are some things that I will say that like a lot of this exam, like the things that I wasn't really able to figure out is just that they have to do with knowledge that I acquired a long time ago and I don't remember anymore. So at least like I have like that kind of like as solace, but it is something because there were moments there that I couldn't think. My thinking was like muddled and stuff, and I don't know if tiredness like that is the thing that is getting in the way. I don't know if like that is because being tired also gets in the way. And also I think like because for example like I have ADHD, so I am hyperactive. That is not that's something that people very quickly notice about me, but like I'm not me being hyperactive today is different from like me being hyperactive when I was a kid, because kids already have energy, so I had excessive energy, and right now I have like more energy I guess than like an adult my age, but it is less energy than it used to be. I think that is a tendency from now on for me to have like less energy, and it's not that I necessarily have less of the desire to like to pursue things, but I would say that there are things that they used to engage me more than they do right now. Like they used to be more I don't know, like I think little like logic challenges that you can find, I think it's good for you to do like at least one like them per day, because like that's a good way for, to keep yourself sharp. But there's like this this finger here is stinging. It's just and it's radiating. I don't know. I didn't do anything, but it's bothering me, and it started to be noticeable. But what I'm trying to say is that when I was younger, like I loved to do those little challenges, and these days I still do them. I still have little puzzles here and there every day, but I feel like some of like my desire, my like my to try to do something is not really there anymore. And like right now, I'm pretty stable. So, you know, because one thing for me to feel that way when I'm depressed. So I'm kind of like just learning that there are some things that I attributed to depression that maybe they're just, I mean, depression made them like a more excessive version of themselves, like, you know, what the trait is, but it's still me. And that's okay, because I think that when I was younger, I used to think that I had to be the smartest person in the world. You know, I have to, you know, be the cleverest, the most intelligent, you know, like all the adjectives, the cunning, the most cunning, you know, like all the different varieties of, you know, intelligence, of being smart. I wanted to be all of them, and it's very important. The thing is, like, when you're young, you're not going to be the most cunning person. You know, you're not going to be necessarily the most intelligent, you know, thinking about intelligence and like the acquisition of knowledge, because, you know, you haven't had as much experience. So, you know, street smarts too, like naturally, like if you, depending on your upbringing, like you might have more than some other person, but like in your infancy, you are, you know, like you're still being molded, so you're not going to be that. I mean, there's genius and there are geniuses out there, so naturally, like they could. But talking about just average people being average, it's even nice that I can just say this, because for so long I felt like I was doing myself such a disservice by acknowledging that I was kind of like that, I was being maybe average or something, because, you know, like I think I really relied on, you know, because I was considered smart, you know, as a kid, so I really relied on that. And, you know, when I wasn't really able to perform the way I wanted, you know, it led to that there was a disconnect between me and the version of myself that I was seeing in my eyes, and that just led to like internal turmoil and a lot of like discomfort, you know, with just me being me. But like right now, I'm like, you know what, it's okay that I'm not the smartest person out there, like, and also because like there's always going to be somebody, regardless of, you know, which personality trait you're talking about, like somebody's going to be more than you, you know, going to be more of that thing. And naturally, like in theory, like somebody will have to be at the top, but that's, you know, you're never going to necessarily meet that person. So, you know, it's just good, kind of like a good way to go about life, that you deserve to be more. Naturally, I have like this tattoos. It is a Morta and awesome, and actually it's Zoom, but yeah, and I got them when I was 19, and that was the age where I was first starting to kind of like accept that, you know, they were going to be, I'm not going to be the best at everything, I'm also not going to be good at everything, because that was kind of like the thing. I wanted to be good at everything, and I wanted to be the best at everything. And I think that maybe being the best was, you know, one that I started to accept first, you know, like, okay, I might not be best at everything, but I'm good at so many things. And I realized that not so much. I mean, it depends on your definition of, you know, like many things. Because so yeah, so I think I went from like I want to be good at everything to I want to be good at most things. I'm good at, you know, some things. And I think that's where I am today. I don't know, it's not that I'm like less than average or more than average. I think that I really place my value on, you know, comparatively. So, you know, I wanted, so for example, when I graduated high school, I graduated first in my class, which meant that I was the very top at my school. But, you know, if I were to be compared with the other schools, I would not be at the top. So I'm trying to say. And basically, I kind of like I settled on, you know, the fact that, okay, I'm better than like all the individuals that I, you know, interacted with here, and that was good for me. I wanted to be the best, period. And the way that I think like the only way I would have been satisfied actually is if I had gotten like a perfect 100 score. I got like a 90 something, which is not bad. You know, that was like the best for my school, but it is, I don't know, like there was like so much more that I wanted, you know, there was so, yeah. But, you know, like, but then, you know, I learned about my ADHD, and then things started to make sense, and I started to accept myself. But some of these things, you know, it took time, because I can only say that I for sure don't feel like less than, you know, because, you know, like, because I might not be, you know, the I don't know, smartest, most charismatic, most funniest, most athletic, most capable, most competent, you know, different things that I wanted to be at different points in time. Like, so it's right now. So I got this at 19, I'm 28 now, which means that it took me like 9 years for me to get to a point where I don't care. Which is why I've been saying that some of like this situations that I'm going through right now, they are the culmination of, you know, like years of effort. Because as I said, I started, you know, this journey of me accepting that, you know, I didn't have to be first of all, best is the best. Always, but like also not good at everything. And also like I don't have to even like be good, basically. It's pretty much where I am at. Like, you know what, I'm going to focus, but also something that I can say with more confidence now that I've had more experience, you know, that I've tried more things, because now I'm going to focus on the things that brought me joy. I try many things. There's still more things to try. I'm not trying to be like, yeah, I tried everything. There is like not really, but from like all the things I tried, I kind of like figure out some of the things that bring me joy, some of the things that, you know, they positively contribute to my life, some of the things I'm pretty neutral at, like don't really care necessarily about them, but also things that I don't like, and it's okay for me not to like things. You know, I think a good example of, you know, something that, you know, I had to accept is, you know, programming. It is something that I thought was going to be very fulfilling for me, because, you know, I would be creating these things, you know, I'll be building something from the zero, from the ground up. And I tried it, and it is fun. Like, it is, you know, it's fun and it's challenging, which is a really good, you know, mix. But I realized that, for example, writing is pretty much the same thing for me, you know, in terms of like fulfilling those needs. It is something that is very I'm creating something, and it is a challenge doing it. I realized I'd rather write, and also that I wasn't really, how do I put it? It's just that, because it's not that I wasn't bad at it, you know, necessarily. It's one of those things that I just tried, and I wish that I had, you know, liked it more than I did, you know. I just think that, you know, when I had writing, I had to compare the two. Like, writing would always win, you know, for me, because it is something, I don't know how to explain it actually, but, you know, the point is that I have basically there are things in my life that I was like, I really thought that they were going to be a huge part of you know, who I was in the future, and in the end they were not. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know. I think that at least I tried, and there's also like, it's also fun not to want to try some things. I think that if you're not trying something because you're like scared or whatever, like it could be good to examine that feeling, you know, see like, why is that you're scared, so you don't have like that thing like rule over you. But I don't know, I think when I was younger, I was very adamant that like you had to try something to know that you liked it, and the older I get, the more I'm like, no, there's so many things that I know that I like, that I need to, but I never really had the opportunity to try it. For example, I would love to go skydiving. I know for a fact that I would love it, I would really enjoy it, just haven't had the opportunity to do so. But you know, so I kind of like, I know naturally, like, there's the fact that like I might try it and realize I don't like it, but I'm very sure that you know, I would enjoy it. For example, roller coasters, I really like them. I haven't had like as many opportunities as other individuals to go through them, but like I knew I would like going on roller coasters before I went to one, and I went one, and I went, you know, in all the ones I've been to, and like I enjoyed them all greatly. So sometimes like you really, you know, like something, you really don't need to try. And also there are things that, you know, you sometimes you know you're going to dislike them, and you know, sometimes you do. So there's nothing, once again, like nothing wrong with like not wanting to do something. You don't need to, because I think that also something that used to happen in my head is that I felt like this urge to prove myself to myself, so I couldn't have any type of apprehension or fear regarding, you know, things that I was doing. Like I had to be completely confident all the time, and so like I have definitely, and as a consequence, I definitely put up with some shit that I didn't really have to. You know, looking back, I'm like, that just made my life worse, and for what? But yeah, but basically what I'm trying to say is that right now I think that I haven't had all the experiences that I'm going to have by the time I die. I mean, I know we're gonna die, you know, the next minute, and that's going to be the case, but basically I'm saying basically too much. But it's just that from the experiences that I have already had, I can kind of like infer what I would like and what I won't like, and so maybe, because I gave the example of skydiving. So like, if I know I'm going to like it, why do I do it? Because, you know, it is expensive, it costs money, and I could save for it, yes, but I'd rather use my money to save it for something else, you know. For example, my tattoos. I think that usually, you know, whenever I'm saving money for something, it's going to be a tattoo, which is another example of something that like I knew I was going to enjoy, and I did not necessarily like the experience of getting a tattoo, but, you know, having a tattoo, they all, you know, mean so much to me, and they're part of who I am, you know, which is interesting because I'm thinking about, you know, me looking back, like would I have done this, would I have done that differently, you know, what would have been the same. And a lot of like the lessons I learned, the way I learned them, they you can see them like in my tattoos. You can see these things that have meaning to me. So maybe they wouldn't have been the way that they are. Like they are this way because this is the culmination of who I am, who I was, and of the experiences I had. And you know, maybe like something I would still have meaning, but because I have been, you know, exposed to like other things, the tattoo wouldn't be the same. So you know, I'm happy with like what I have. I think that's the best way for me to put it. You know, for me, is that, you know, like if I had done things differently, I wouldn't have tattoos. Maybe that is not enough to keep me grounded, but I know it is, and I'm encouraged to have. But yeah, so I had many experiences and I want more. Naturally, we all do. And I think that on the long run, it's going to be, I think everything is going to be alright. But more than that, because I definitely think that with like everything that I have been able to learn so far in my life, I'm thinking, you know, I've been talking a lot about the past decade, because you know, it does make a difference. Because as of today, I have been an adult for officially a decade, which is absolutely fucking insane. You know, my brother is going to turn, you know, 18 January, and he's going to start his journey, and mine has already been a decade long, like insane. But basically what I'm trying to say is that I am not, and not just like randomly happier. It's not that everything, I mean, things are falling into place, you know, and these things in my head, not just necessarily my external circumstances. And as a consequence, I think that many of the mistakes that I made in the past, many of the things that I look back at and I'm like, I don't know if I would do it again. I won't do it again. So the next decade is going to be better than the past decade. I mean, that's how I want my life to be. I want like every decade to be better than the last. Enjoying, you know, the challenges that come with like that age, because you know, like I'm in this transitional period. That about in 2 years I'll turn 30. That'll be a new adventure for me, a whole new journey, and I'm starting to kind of like prepare myself for that. And you know, just preparing myself for like what comes after that, because there will be changes in my finances, there will be changes in my living situation, there will be changes in my relationships, or I mean, maybe, I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's kind of like what I foresee. And I think that with all the tools I've been able to, you know, develop this past decade, I'll be able to live like my life better. You know, I'll be happier, not just because the circumstances around me will be better, but because I will be able to learn to deal with things better, and more efficiently. Not that efficiency is the key here necessarily, but it definitely helps. You know, I think that it's kind of like an exponential curve, basically. You know, like things are just getting better. Same way that I think that if you have big things, I'm looking at, you know, the past 5 years, I do think that one way or another they were better than the 5 years before that. There were, you know, things that didn't work out. There were things that I enjoyed. For example, like my period living in Portugal, it was absolutely sensational. I loved, you know, everything that happened. Not everything, there were some things that were not great, but in general, there was just a lot of, it was a very positive time of my life, and that happened in the first half of the last decade. So you know, like I wouldn't want to do without that period of time. But I will say that it feels like the past 5 years were better than the 5 years before that. You know, and the same way that the next decade was better than this decade, the past decade. Next decade will be better than the past decade. You know, and I think that is like the time that I had to start counting, because before that I was still a kid in school, so it was a different vibe. It was a different time of my life. I don't know how to compare them. It feels like apples and oranges, while I think that I can compare the past decade with like the next decade, because I will have been an adult. Naturally, you know, like the whole thing of like eternity, nothing really changes. So you become like legally an adult, but like there is like an adaptational period during which you're still a kid at heart, basically. You know, I still want to be maybe not a kid, because like that's like being young at heart, as I mentioned. So next decade, so by the time I turn 38, where do I see myself? As I mentioned before, I kind of like, maybe I want to establish that, you know, the goal for the next decade is for me to start living alone. It will probably still be close to my parents, because you know, I'm trying to spend time with them. They are some of the best people in my life. You know, if I had best friends, it would probably be them. But so yeah, so maybe like getting myself my own space. But you know, I would still want it to be within this vicinity, also because our health center, you know, it's great. So like I would want to keep on going to the health center. And also, like, this is a really well placed house. Like, you walk, a couple blocks and you are in one of the main avenues in my city, and you can take a bus like anywhere. And this is also, there's everything. So like, I still want to be close, but maybe like this is something that by the time I'm 38, I would like to be living by myself. And for that to happen, first of all, like, my mental health has to be stable, because if I'm still oscillating between my depressive and manic episodes, not only would my parents not be okay with me living, but also it wouldn't be in my best interest to do so, because what if I have like a depressive episode that is pretty bad and I do something and then things end forever. I don't want that. So I want to be stable to the point that is the case. I want to have more relationships. I want to try different types of relationships. I want to know people at different capacity. I also don't want to shut people down. I think I would like to have a symbiotic relationship with somebody, because I've always been pretty detached from people, and I want to go deeper into than I have ever gone to. And I don't know, maybe it doesn't have to be a forever thing. It's just like I would like to try to have like that type of feelings for somebody. Because I have my friendship, my platonic relationships. Even then, you could say that I could be doing more. So maybe like and more. I have my familiar relationships, which also I have friendships that are also like with my family, like family friendships. And yeah, so like I want to give myself in a way that I have never really given myself, because I never wanted to, and also because there's been fears and apprehensions and with the lack of empathy, you could argue. So I want that. I want to try something deeper, more something that will take an effort. Like, not because it's going to be bad, but because like I want to make this effort, which I have never really made it before. So that would be an interesting thing for me to navigate. College, I don't necessarily, it would be nice if I had graduated college in a decade from now. It would be nice if I found the thing, because you don't necessarily have to attend college. Like, there are other things. It's just that it's interesting, because for me, like, college has always been this thing where like you just go through. I know that different families and different cultures have different views on things, but for me, it's always been this, like, no question that I would go to college, and that's pretty much where the rest of my career, my life will go from there. So like, if I do decide that college is the thing for me, I would like to have graduated, and I would like to maybe work in something that has to do something with my degree, or maybe it doesn't have to, just work something that I find somewhat fulfilling. It doesn't have to be the most fulfilling thing, just something that I don't hate, something that I could do maybe for the rest of my life. Maybe not, maybe that's a lot, because you get tired of things, so maybe I want to change. But like, before I stopped working, I was I was having some internships, and they're basically things that I wouldn't necessarily call them like the most fulfilling. I mean, you still feel fulfilled when you complete the task. There's like that feeling, but I wouldn't call them to be the most phenomenal things that I was doing. But still, like, they allow me to do the things I wanted. So academically, I would like to have graduated. Professionally, I like to find a job that I can stand, and also financially, I would like to be making more. Can I set the goal to be making double what I'm making right now, a decade from now? Like, that, it still feels small. I think that like what I feel comfortable with would be something like 5 times, but I'm like at minimum wage right now, so like that's depending which direction I go, might be doable. But yeah, that's kind of it. Those are some of the goals that I have for future. Oh yeah, like some other things, I would like to have finished 5 books. I like that the space of like 1 book every 2 years. I think I can keep it up, so let's go. And so I want to maintain, to continue to be an active person. I want to hopefully I can continue my Zumba and my Zumba classes, my swimming lessons. Swimming lessons is the right term, because I'm not really learning how to swim. I'm just have like a teacher who kind of like gives us different exercises for us to do. Okay. I would like so something about my weight. I would like to find balance, so that has to do with my compulsion. So I want like to be able to keep things under control, to find a good balance between exercising and eating, and medication I'm taking. There's that. So those are kind of my goals for my mental health. Like I can't, like I know that I'm going to have mental episodes from, like manic and depressive episodes. I wish I would have, but eventually they're gonna happen. So what I want is to be able to handle things better. So I want to know when I'm depressed. I want to be able, because to be fair, like I do foresee things. I do perceive things very quickly. So like when I start to see a shift, I communicate that with my parents, with my doctor, with my therapist, and we start a plan from there. So I'm good at catching up, not catching up, like picking up, like the clues. They're there. So there's that. So what I want is that while I'm going through these episodes, I want to be more grounded. So when I'm depressed, I want, because I have anchors, for me, and I'm developing more anchors, and I basically want these anchors to be enough anchors, and for these anchors to be strong enough that even when I want to, that I still don't, that I have things that are kind of like preventing me from doing it. It just has to be like just one thing that is keeping me going, that is kind of like getting me attached to this plane. So there's that. And when I'm manic, I want to have less aggressive attitudes. I want, because the thing is that mania, like, it comes with certain traits, certain things that you do, but also it highlights some of the stuff that is very you. So I think that because for so long I had so many triggers, I had so much anger, I had so much pain, what was happening is that so I have all this. So like I was already, it was almost like I was waiting for mania to come so I could let those feelings out, right? So like right now I want to have like less triggers. So I want so I'll be more irritable than normal, okay, but I don't want to have aggressive attitudes towards anyone, because those are the most dangerous ones that I can have. Like spending more money, like I also don't want to do that. I don't want to spend excessive. Compulsion is kind of like the key word. So like when I'm manic, I get compulsive and I lose my filters, and what happens is that like I end up having very risky behaviors. So what I want is but if I already have this pent up anger, it just comes out more. So I want to be kind of like chill. I want to be at peace with myself, so that when I get more irritable, like I'm not jumping into violence, to aggression. So yeah, I think that is kind of what I want for the next decade. A long way to go, but as I said, doable, totally doable. I have full confidence that like a decade from now, I'll probably be even better off than like I've first thing. Maybe I'm just feeling too confident because I'm feeling great about myself, and because it's my birthday, so I'm happy, but that's kind of like what I have for today. So bye.